Hey everyone! So I have been playing PICO-8 games a lot on my various handheld platforms. Been playing it on my Steam Deck, and I've been playing it on my PowKitty RGB 20SX. I never remember what this thing is called. It's pretty cool though. Look at how neat it looks. Just as an aside, look at how neat it looks with the blue. I love this demo on my PowKitty. It's cool. Anyway, I've been playing a lot of PICO-8 games lately on my handhelds, and I thought it might be fun for this week's What Am I Playing video to talk about 5 PICO-8 games that I recommend pretty highly if you want to check them out. Remember, these are all free. PICO-8 isn't, but the games themselves are free, so provided you have PICO-8, or if you just want to go play them in the browser, you can check them out right now. So these are 5 PICO-8 games that I recommend, plus a few honorable mentions that I'm also going to mention. So, hey, what am I playing?
Beckon the Hellspawn. People who know me know a few things about my gaming tastes in 2024. 1. I like Souls-likes, probably too much. 2. Give me a surreal gaming experience and I'll be in heaven. 3. I'm obsessed with Vampire Survivors clones. Well, Beckon the Hellspawn is a Vampire Survivors clone for PICO-8, and man is it good. There's 6 characters with 6 weapons, and you have a good mix of weapon types. You have 2 area of effect weapons that deal close range damage to any enemies that are near you. You have ranged magic that can hit enemies from afar, and you have swords that you can hurl out like a boomerang. The music is good, but pretty repetitive. Expect to mute it and listen to your own tunes after a while. The graphics are pretty awesome, complete with dither darkness the further away from your character you get. Each round lasts around 9 to 10 minutes, depending on the strength and survivability of your build, which is the perfect duration for a quick handheld Vampire Survivors experience on the go. Beckon the Hellspawn is a great game, and one I recommend pretty highly. Dinky Kong. So there's a couple of games on this list that are callbacks to early arcade games. I'm not going to lie, I'm a sucker for these early arcade games, having grown up during the heyday of the 1980s arcade scene. So naturally, I will gravitate towards modern takes on arcade classics. This is Dinky Kong, a pitch-perfect rendition of the Donkey Kong arcade game. And I really mean pitch perfect. This game is basically Donkey Kong with lower resolution graphics and playing in PICO-8. All the levels are here and the gameplay feels right. Sure, maybe some speedrunners of the original arcade title, or people who spend more time in it than I do, might find some discrepancies, but as far as I can tell, it's damn near perfect. Since it's essentially Donkey Kong, I'm not sure what I can really say about it that hasn't already been said before. So let me just end by saying this game is awesome and a must-play on the PICO-8. Whiplash. Whiplash is a Crazy Taxi-inspired racing game where you pick up fares and drive them as quickly as possible to their destination. Like Crazy Taxi before it, it's stupid fun. It's also a technical marvel on the platform, and I'm completely floored someone was able to get a game like this running in PICO-8, and that they got it running at a pretty solid 60 FPS. The only complaint I have about this game is that the vertical orientation of the PICO-8 screen doesn't completely gel with this type of gameplay. It almost feels like you're trying to drive while looking through a periscope. Other than that one minor quibble, this is a great game that I highly recommend. Jungle Ping. Jungle Ping is the second game on this list inspired by a classic 1980s arcade game. This time, the arcade game is 1982's Jungle Hunt, which was one of my favorites as a kid. Anytime I saw this in the arcade, I had to play it. And the Atari 2600 home version was one of my go-to titles for after-school fun. Jungle Ping attempts to accurately recreate the original arcade game, which, now that I think about it, I'm not sure any other port of the game really comes as close as this version does. That's gotta be something worth celebrating, doesn't it? In the game, you play as a Tarzan-like character who has to swing across vines, swim in crocodile-infested waters, climb hills while avoiding boulders, to ultimately save a damsel in distress from questionably stereotypical jungle bad guys. I think the main character might be the only deviation from the original arcade game. If I recall correctly, in the original game, you were some sort of explorer with a pith helmet. At any rate, this is a very faithful adaptation of Jungle Hunt, and a game I really enjoy. Marble Merger. Apparently this is a game inspired by some game on the iPhone. But I don't have an iPhone, I hate Apple products with a passion, and I dislike playing games on mobile phones, so I've never heard of it. Marble Merger is a puzzle game where you drop marbles trying to match colors. When marbles of the same color merge, they spawn a larger marble of a different color. The marble movements are physics-based, which means you don't have the rigid grid-like placement of something like Puyo Puyo or Tetris. Instead, you have to try to nudge them to hit other marbles, or sometimes try to get smaller marbles to squeeze between larger ones. It's a very fun, just one more try puzzle game that definitely deserves a spot in your PICO-8 library. Pengo. This is yet another classic arcade game, but this one doesn't even try to change its name. It's literally just named what the arcade game was named, which is hilarious. Because I already had two other arcade games on my list, and because this one is probably more niche, I decided to put this in the honorable mentions. Pengo was another arcade game that came out in 1982. It's a maze game where you play as a penguin who must defend themselves by sliding ice blocks and smashing the enemies that pursue them. This version is a very faithful recreation of the arcade game, even including the music from the first release of the game. Music that was changed when the game was eventually re-released. I'm assuming it was changed because of copyright concerns. Pengo is a pretty fun game, but honestly, unless you have nostalgia for the title, you could probably pass on this. Ninja Game. Ninja Game is amazing. It's also way too short. You play as a ninja exploring a cave system. I mean, that's basically it. There's not much else. You beat one boss, and it's over. But it's got super tight controls and awesome graphics. Unfortunately, like I said, this is little more than a demo right now. It has one boss, and it's over in under 30 minutes. But it is one to watch should the author ever add more to the game, because man, what's there is already really fun. Poom. This is a Doom clone, if you didn't already guess. It's a very good one. Maybe not the most faithful to the original levels, but it's still really fun. Unfortunately, it's also really short. It only includes a single level, and it's over way too soon. It's really not much more than a tech demo. And while it's a cool tech demo, it's still just a tech demo. There's a link in the game to an itch.io page, which might have more, but I haven't gone to check to see. R-Type. This is an incredibly faithful R-Type recreation. I'm a giant fan of the original R-Type, and this game is a blast. Unfortunately, like Poom and Ninja Game, it's too short. It has 4 levels, and that's it. It feels like it's unfinished as a result. But what's there is fun, and it's worth checking out anyway.